Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining Catherine and I this morning. Just as a reminder, the session is recorded, and I think we've got a bit of a mixed audience this morning. So we have got some people who are partners, and we're also welcoming some of our prospects this morning as well. So lovely. Thank you very much for joining us on this lovely, don't want to jinx it, sunny morning. Catherine, who's joining me, is one of our account managers, and this morning we are going to talk you through 10 tips for stewardship and promotion. So very simply, we've broken them down into 5 of each. The session is recorded and it will be available back to our partners via our support site. So if you want to share it with the colleagues, then just pop to the support site and then you can access it from there. So I will continue admitting people into the session, and I'm going to hand over to Catherine to talk us through the first 5 top tips.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sally. And thank you all so much for joining us today as we look at the top tips for stewardship and promotion. I'm going to start, as Sally said, with stewardship and the 5 tips that we have for that. So step 1 is looking at the stewardship planning. So the first suggestion when planning is, we've had to think about this, is to think about your objectives and what do you want to get out of an online tribute offering. And quite often, if you're in the fundraising team, I think the thing that came to my mind was obviously, well, they want to raise money. But actually, it could also be that you want to increase your in-memory audience or maybe gain more legacy supporters. There's a statistic from Legacy Foresight, actually, that they've quoted that in-memory supporters are 3 times more likely to leave a legacy. So I think it's really important to think about your objectives and what you want, what you want to get out of having your in-memory offering and your tribute offering. The next thing is to access your available resources. Do you have a budget maybe that could pay for some tribute leaflets or enable you to post a thank you card to your tribute supporters? Or maybe with some funds, you can purchase something tangible for your online tribute owners, a keyring reflecting your in-memory branding, or some wildflower seeds that you send to your in-memory supporters. So having a think about your resources, and it could be, one of the resources is quite often time constraints. And can your resource increase your people power available to you? Maybe could you extend time resource by getting a volunteer to help? Or is there someone from another team who you can bring in or tap into their knowledge? So have a little think about your resources. Your Much Loved Partner area is your private portal and is obviously a great area for gaining informational resource, like being able to export your online tribute, donor income and supporter data. This can include if supporters have opted into hearing from you via your GDPR marketing ask, which if you're a Much Loved charity partner, we're able to present your supporters with your GDPR marketing ask. So you're able to access that from the report in your Much Loved Partner area. So making sure that you make use of all the Much Loved tools, equipment and information that's available to you. So much information about your Much Loved service is in our training and support site. So we have an independent training and support site. This includes previous webinar recordings, shared information and ideas from other charities, bite-sized training videos, downloadable artwork and copy for maybe creating a social media post about your online tributes, and lots of stewardship and promotional tips and ideas. So make sure you have a good understanding of your available resources within your Much Loved Partner area. And I mentioned the training and support site, but actually if you're a partner with us at Much Loved, you'll have an account manager, and we're always, willing to help and give you guidance on the partner area and making the most out of your partnership with us. And then using your tools. So your Much Loved service includes lots of tools to help you engage, support and steward your tribute supporters. I've highlighted some here, and you are able to do lots of things using the Much Loved tools. The candle, and this icon here, which is add to attribute, that enables you to use content to add on to tribute pages as well. So different using tools to engage with your supporters. We've got customized referencing fields that you can use and put your own referencing behind the supporter information and be able to export it and correlate it with maybe your CRM system. And there's lots of tools which can help you gain and use the information to better steward your supporters. So making sure you know what those tools are. So step 2, we're going to look at your initial contact with your tribute supporter. First, I want to share a couple of quotes from Legacy Foresight's executive summary from May 2022. And the first one, and I'm going to read them out, is remember that the first communication with your charity, whether online or offline, is crucial. So the first communication that your supporter has with your charity is crucial. The next quote is, a good initial experience can lead to a lifetime of support. So with your in-memory supporters, if you give them that good initial experience, that can lead to that lifetime of support to your charity. So let's look at that first communication. What should it include? Maybe you can offer your condolences, refer to the loved one by their name. So their loved one is obviously a very strong motivation, their motivation. So refer to that loved one by their name and thank the supporter for thinking of you and supporting your organization. Actually, be really nice sort of at the when I've kind of gone through my 5 stewardship steps, is for yourself as a charity to share what your first communication looks like and what maybe has and hasn't worked. So how might you do this? How else? One hospice I spoke with, they actually, so we've got the telephone, email, maybe you'll add some content onto a tribute page. But one hospice I spoke with invited their tribute supporters in for a cup of tea. And I thought that was a really lovely touch. They wanted to check that that supporter was okay. They wanted to let them know that the hospice was still there for them and to see the hospice in a different light, because the chances are the last time they left the hospice was in a very different circumstance. So different sort of ideas of how you might make that initial contact. I've mentioned here lighting a candle with a message on a tribute page as well. It's sort of a different, softer touch. You know, some charities will phone those supporters up. Again, it will all depend on resource and what you're able to do with your stewardship. So just reiterating that first initial initial contact and a good experience can lead to that lifetime of support. So then ongoing communication. Once you've made the initial communication, how are you going to keep that dialogue and communication going? So plan for 2 pathways and communication streams. One for tributes created by funeral directors on behalf of the families, and the other for tributes created by supporters who've consciously come to your website or used the links or read some information from your literature and promotion of tribute pages, and also tribute people coming directly to Much Loved and create a tribute page. I just want to mention the funeral directors. So those, we've actually got charities here who have been invited who are not already a Much Loved partner. And so if you're not already aware, we work with lots and lots of funeral directors here in the UK. And it enables, the Much Loved functionality enables funeral directors to create tribute pages. And sort of as an initial online funeral notice, but it's a tribute page for the families that are created on behalf, as I say, on behalf of the families by the funeral directors, and they can choose to support any UK charity or charities. So just thinking about the pathways of how you're going to communicate with those different streams. And it's worth putting yourself in the seat of each of those supporters and consider how you might message them. The secondary communication, and how are you going to do that? So how are you going to communicate that second ongoing communication? We've got some ideas here. So a trigger campaign. We ran a previous Much Loved webinar on this, and it's recorded in our training and support site along with lots of other materials. So that trigger campaign gave an idea of different ways to communicate with supporters throughout the year. Maybe the second communication might be different to the first time you communicated. It may be an email, phone call, or the handwritten thank you card. It may be that you're able to add a bespoke virtual gift onto a tribute page. So there's lots of content on tribute pages that you're able to add onto the site. And actually what I'll do is I'll just give you an example of a virtual gift. It was something that we added onto tribute pages about a couple of years ago. So we've got lots of non-monetary engagement tools, which can be added onto tribute pages and a lovely way to keep in touch with your supporters. So you can add them on from the back end if you're an Optimum partner, but also for your supporters, they can add content onto tribute pages that are, as I say, that are non-monetary and doesn't have the monetary ask. And this slide actually showcases one of the online virtual gifts that were added. They can choose a variety of virtual gifts that can be added onto the tribute alongside the words. And this might trigger a memory. And that often, what we found with some of the virtual gifts is often the messages are often speaking directly to the person being remembered. I mean, it actually gives the supporter then another option, an opportunity to remember and express in their own way. I've included another image of the virtual gifts that can be added onto the pages here. And actually what's really lovely about this one is the wording indicates that the person was on the beach and remembering their loved one at that time. And it's just sort of highlights that tribute pages being an online tool, people can view them and add to them at any time. They can pick their phone, add a virtual gift on, and remember their loved one wherever they are. So then the fourth stewardship point I'm coming to is seasonal communication. So at seasonal times throughout the year, you can communicate with your supporters about the features of their tribute page. For example, at Christmas, we had a Christmas candle that people can add onto their tribute page. Virtual gifts also change throughout the year and they can be seasonal. So for example, at Christmas time and at Easter time, our virtual gifts and the themes change of what the imagery is. And you can see on our charity support site, we have a calendar. So the calendar indicates when those gifts are going to be released onto the tribute pages. So you can also plan. So going back to step one, you can plan when you're going to communicate based on the seasonal gifts when they're being released onto the tribute pages. It's a really nice opportunity to engage and let your supporters know that there's a Christmas candle that can be lit now, or there's some content on the tribute pages that can be added on. If you're a local charity, you could consider having an in-memory event to invite your in-memory supporters to. This could be to add a star with the name of their loved one onto a seasonal tree. It could be an autumnal in-memory walk, or planting seeds in memory of a loved one in the springtime. So maybe some sort of event that you can host or suggest to supporters. So our much loved dedication page product, which is totally separate from tributes, is another great tool for engaging and giving supporters a space to leave a message and an optional photo. Dedication pages have the advantage that they can be accessed from anywhere, so can complement an in-person event, but also be a super engagement product if your organization isn't suited to more local in-person events. So it's another tool to consider and to access and to use to either complement or facilitate engagement with your supporters. So this brings me to the final step, and that's implement and test. With your plan, tools, resources, and ideas, it's time to maybe implement and test your stewardship plan and the journey. And don't be afraid to tweak and try things out. I know that we've had guest speakers before, and they've shown that they try things out, they change things, they gauge how things are going. So don't be afraid to do that. And then you can see what works and what doesn't work. And always keep in mind the sensitivity and how special your in-memory supporters and audience are. So that's the end of my part on stewardship. And if there's any questions and things mentioned in the chat, Sally, or anybody who shared some really great tips and ideas on their stewardship.
Yeah, so there's been a couple of things. Olivia's asked, like to see a guideline or example of stewardship journeys for funeral directors on behalf of the families. So there is apologies if you're not a partner, but there is a really great webinar that Sarah Farrago, when she was at Bowel Cancer UK, did, where she shared her stewardship journey, well, Bowel Cancer UK's stewardship journey for tribute pages created by funeral directors. So yeah, have a look at that. And Sarah asked, has anyone had a success with people opting to hear more from the charity via phone when they create their tribute page? They get very minimal phone opt-ins. So I just wanted to, that kind of goes back to Olivia's question. Just wanted to say that the opt-ins via pages created by funeral directors, you won't get any really, because there isn't an opportunity to present the opt-in to pages created by funeral directors, because they're not created by the user or the supporter themselves. They're set up by someone else. So we don't present a GDPR marketing ask to them, but you can get in touch with them to thank them. And I feel like you've got a couple of opportunities. You've got an opportunity to thank them in the first instance and to pay to offer your condolences. And then maybe 6, 8, 9 weeks later, you've got an opportunity to thank them again for the donations that have been collected through their funeral collection page. And that's proved incredibly successful for Bowel Cancer UK, and they've improved their income by something like 200%. It was really successful. And also on the opt-ins, I was going to say, if you want to test different messaging, you are absolutely welcome to do that. You can give us different opt-in scripts that we can load for you. So, just send the details to your account manager and we'll load those up, and then maybe you can measure whether you get better success with a different message.
Yeah, and just to say about that, actually, I was looking through some pages quite recently, and although sometimes, obviously, when the funeral director creates a page, the tribute guardian isn't presented with those opt-in channels, quite often those tribute guardians then go on to donate anyway. So then if they're presented with your GDPR marketing ask, then it's another way that, they're going to be able to, you're going to be able to continue communicating and marketing to them, in other ways as well.
Excellent. And then I'd also say on the opt-in, if you're asking people to opt in, you don't have to ask people to opt in to communicate with them about their tribute page. So if they're people that are creating tribute pages directly from your website, from your own service, then in our terms and conditions, we clearly state that you will be in touch with them to talk to them about their tribute page. So you don't need them to opt in for you to talk to them about their tribute page. You need them to opt in to market them about other services or other fundraising that your organisation does. So just wanted to make that totally clear. Leslie's asked, would you attempt to steward the donors of the tribute pages, not just the tribute page creators? I'm going to open that out to the audience. I don't personally think that's necessarily worth it. You don't know how close they are to the person being remembered. They could be a distant friend or a relative. They won't necessarily have that close connection with your cause as the person who's created that tribute page, but maybe other people in the audience have got opinions about that. So I'm going to move over to the next section of the presentation. So just give me a minute to share the slides again and get you to the right place. Oh, hold on. Oh, I've taken you right to the end. That's not very good, is it? Hang on. Let's redo that. So just ignore me for the moment. Oh, sorry, having a few technical issues. Just bear with me 1 second. Right. No, it doesn't seem to be. Can you see the slides?
Yeah, that's skimming through.
Yeah, okay, fine. I need to just get them to where you are. For some reason I can't see my notes, so
Oh, can't you?
never mind. I know what I'm saying. It's all good. So I'm just gonna get my other version up, and then we'll all be good to go. So So thank you, Catherine, for those top tips. So we're going to move on to promotion tips, and we're going to start by looking at the proposition. And yes, we're going to start by looking at the proposition. So where does in-memory or tribute content sit on your website, and why does it matter where it sits? So your website is your shop window. It will create awareness and it will inspire your supporters to make choices. So supporters accessing your in-memory pages, so it's worth remembering that supporters accessing your in-memory pages could be, I mean, they're likely to be bereaved, right? So they could be in a high emotional state. So just take that into account. So my top tip here is to take your supporters straight to your in-memory pages. And I've got an example here of East Cheshire Hospitals, and they do exactly that. And I know that that might not be entirely possible for some of you, but to make it as clear as possible is the point I'm getting across. You want to basically ensure that they don't get a chance of being distracted or moving away because they can't easily locate the pages, or maybe they might even end up choosing a different supporter if they can't find your pages that they're looking for. So consider asking a relative to check your pages to see how easy they can find the specific in-memory information on your website. You might be a little bit like me and you go on autopilot and you look through your website and you think, yeah, that's easy and clear to find. But actually, if you ask someone else, it might not be quite so obvious. So I'd also say to be aware that not everyone navigating your website will do so in the same way. Some people will go straight to that donate button and want to make a donation in memory from there. Sorry, the pop-up thing gets in the way, doesn't it? So I would say cover all bases by ensuring that your supporters can still access your in-memory pages from your donate function. And that's what RNLI have done here. So you can see the bit I've circled here. This is their donate page, but they're still offering other bits and pieces on their donate page. So they can still, the supporters can still offer their donate in memory section from there. And also think about maybe some others would use the search bar with various sort of terms or keywords. So maybe in memory, remember, tribute. So it's best to make sure that you've got all that content within your in-memory pages so that your search bar will pick up those search terms. So again, test that yourself. Somebody said that they can't see the page I'm talking about. Is that right?
I can see the RNLI page. Can someone else just confirm whether you can see the slides going along? I can see the RNLI page. Oh, people can see it. That's okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, so maybe that person has got an issue with maybe it's, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to pretend to know. Anyway, I'll move on. We'll make sure that you've got a copy of the recording so you can watch it back. So test it yourself. How does your website respond when you do those kind of search terms on your in-memory pages? Something else to think about is maybe it's not entirely relevant to put the information just in the donate and in the sort of fundraising pages. Maybe there's an opportunity to put it in how you can help, because actually don't forget these tribute pages are also a bereavement tool. And Break have done exactly that. So they've got details about tribute pages in their remembrance and speaking out section, which sits directly under how we can help. So you can see where the information is there on their website. So my second tip is to make use of your funeral create. Now you might be wondering, what on earth am I talking about by that? So as Catherine mentioned earlier, we work in partnership with hundreds of funeral directors across the UK, and they set up tribute pages they display on their website as a funeral notice. So it's very possible that you're already being supported by funeral collection pages. It's just that they're being created by funeral directors. So as a partner, you have the option to offer your supporters to be able to create a funeral collection page directly from your website. And we can either provide you with a funeral create URL form which you can add to your website, and you can pop that URL under a button. Or if you're an Optimum partner, we can provide you with the widgets to add to your website. So whichever way you look at it, actually your supporters being able to create their own funeral collection page directly from your website is a win-win, because it means that you can present your GDPR marketing options directly to them. You can steward them better, and you get the information directly, and also you get joint ownership of the page, so you can support them as much as in any way you can. So here's an example of that Guide Dogs do. They have under their donate a memory the option to donate, the option to create a funeral collection, and also the option to create a tribute page. The other thing is it just provides really great content to search from. So if somebody goes onto the internet and says, I want to donate a memory to Guide Dogs, then these pages, through a funeral collection, then these pages will pop up. And that's a really great question that someone just asked, because my next slide explains that. So a tribute page and a funeral collection page, to be honest, they are the same page. But the funeral collection page allows people to upload information about where the funeral is taking place, and that will display on the front of the tribute page. So we can see the example here that I've got on the screen. Underneath the main image, you can see then it just displays funeral details. So it will display where the funeral is taking place. There'll be a map. It gives people the opportunity to get directions, and also I think you can get directions, print directions. You can list multiple funeral locations, so you could locate where the funeral is taking place and the reception, and also there's the option to upload a committal on there as well. They can also add other information. So quite often funeral directors will live stream funerals these days. So the webcasting details of that could be loaded onto the funeral collection page. And also there's an opportunity to the family to upload a copy of the order of service. So if somebody is viewing the funeral online, they could then also join in and follow that service by being able to see the order of service. Now, on the bottom of the funeral collection tribute pages and tribute pages, there's a sharing button. And via that, with a screenshot here of that on the right-hand side, you can see that there's a big QR code. And supporters can download that. They can add that onto the order of service, and then when people, the funeral guests at the funeral, can just scan that QR code, and it will take them directly to the tribute page where they can easily make a donation in memory. They can make it through Apple or Google Pay or directly through their card. It's really easy to do. But also, not only does it present an opportunity for them to make a donation, but it also presents an opportunity to share stories. Because, if you've been to a funeral, you go to the funeral and then you come back and you think, well, actually, it would have been lovely to share those stories or that photo or that memory. And then this presents an opportunity to be able to do that. So that's how they differ really. They're, to all intents and purposes, they are the same tribute page, but they present different information on the front of them. So my third option is about internal promotion. So have a think about who in your organisation needs to know about your in-memory offering. And it might be more people than you think. So you might want to make your own list. We've got a huge variety of different organisations with us this morning. So I'm going to go through a few ideas, but some it will relate to some of you and others it won't. So take what works for you. To support a care team. So depending on your course, they might speak to potential in-memory supporters on a day-to-day basis. You should let them know about it, or perhaps you have a palliative care team. They might like to be able, how to remember might come up in conversation with a patient or a family. Perhaps you've got a bereavement team. Now, the tribute pages aren't just about fundraising, which I know we keep saying, but that is really important point. So perhaps your bereavement team, are likely to consider tribute pages as a valuable tool to talk to the people that they're supporting. And also consider which of your fundraising and events team colleagues would benefit from knowing more about in memory. Remember, in memory isn't an income stream, it's a motivation. So it's likely to affect every stream of fundraising within your organisation. Also, your marketing colleagues, without them, you'll struggle to do any external promotion. So it's really key that they're aware of it. And if you have volunteers or maybe shop staff, they're really likely to come in contact with in memory supporters. And that might be, I don't know, stewarding an event, or perhaps shop staff are going to take in some donations as a result of a bereavement. So, you know, if they've got the opportunity to then kind of extend that support and say, well, actually, you know, have you considered setting up a tribute page? We've got this service and it's yours and it's free and you could access it. Or maybe they can pass that on to the person who's the next of kin. So lots of things to think about there. The other thing I would say around internal promotion is just to make sure that you've got really clear messaging in your internal promotion. So what is the tribute fund? Now, that's something that means something to us today in this audience, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything to your volunteer or the guys that work in the shop. So make sure that you're kind of really transparent and clear about what that actually is. So maybe you describe it as an online place to record memories or raise funds in memory of a loved one. Also make sure that it's really clear where they go to create the fund, and we've already discussed that earlier in the first tip. So it's not just important to make sure that it's really clear and easily accessible for your supporters, but also for your colleagues, so they understand where other supporters go to create a tribute page. And then also think about the who. So who do they go to within the organisation to get more information? So make yourself prominent that, yeah, you're the person that they get in touch with. So that they know where to go to. So also the final thing is to think about embedding tribute fund scheme within your organisation. So maybe you'd like to include it on induction training so that anyone new coming into the organisation doesn't get missed off. Consider holding some lunchtime presentations, or maybe there's an opportunity to do a small presentation at some other team meetings. You could include tribute funds on internal emails, perhaps, you know, you get a significant tribute created, or maybe each time you get a new tribute created, there's an opportunity to share that more widely. Maybe that's an internal email, maybe you have an intranet sort of system, or if you're a big organisation, perhaps you have an internal newsletter. I'm sure there's a way of doing it depending on your size. So yeah, it's really about equipping your colleagues and providing them with clear signposting and, if necessary, literature as well. So my fourth tip is about external. So before I get on to the actual examples of how to do it, I just wanted to cover kind of a few kind of key principles about promoting tribute funds. And the first one is really about focusing on your supporters. So the tribute page, while being a great way to fundraise and encourage donations, it is first and foremost, well, with our product, is a bereavement care tool. So it really allows your supporters to remember, and it provides a place for them to connect. So wherever they are, I think Catherine showed us a lovely picture of a screenshot of a virtual gift that was a beach scene, and that person had suggested that they were on the beach and it had reminded them of that person. So literally these tribute pages could be accessed anywhere. It's a place to share memories and photos and help them grieve and provide support. So, you know, promotion using bereavement as a primary focus with fundraising as a secondary message is really safe, and it's unlikely to cause any issues. I'd also talk about outcomes. You know, people like to give to people, and donors give to causes that they can empathise with, and they like to see a tangible result. So if you can share how your tributes have made a difference, or how much they've raised, or the service they've helped cover, it will really help. And that kind of takes me into the third section, which is really about case studies. So case studies provide, and I know they're tricky to get hold of, but they do provide a really great way to illustrate how positive a tribute can be. And, you know, especially as part of a long-term bereavement care, to share an existing story of an existing supporter. So the case studies are the perfect way to do this, and they really allow you to tell a story and illustrate the impact of a tribute fund directly. And then the final one is really about milestones and memories. Now, we've seen from the examples that Catherine has shown us that Much Loved offers a variety of ways to help mark milestones and occasions on a tribute, from virtual gifts to candles, and within the virtual gifts you can have cards, and if you're an Optimum partner you can have your own folder of virtual gifts as well. We should make that clear. So think about adding a gift or a candle to a supporters page, because it can not only help to build long-term supporter relationships, but also it's a great way to promote the service. So let's have a quick look at external methods. So you can't predict when your supporters might want or need to create a tribute. Obviously, none of us can. So it's really important to have a continual promotional plan in place. And there are various methods that you can use. And I'm sure none of these are a surprise to you. And obviously, social media presents a great platform to promote your tribute fund scheme. We offer a number of templated images that you can use, and they are listed on the support site. So you can download them, pop them into Canva, add the wording in, or if you've got any issues, you need any help, just get in touch with your account manager and we can help you to pull that together. Perhaps you could drip feed a case study through social media. Perhaps that's another way to do it. Newsletters are a similar way. Now, we advertise in funeral press, and it made me think, actually, if you've got a newsletter, a regular newsletter, maybe you could advertise tribute pages in the same way that we do in funeral press. And this is an example of our funeral press advert. Actually, maybe you could add that in just on a regular basis. So you could have, details about in memory giving in there. Or maybe there's an opportunity to put an article every now and again, and you could share that case study more in depth. And yeah, don't forget, organize, people, your supporters, like charity shops, because actually, not only is your website your shop window, but your shops are literally your shop window. So maybe there's an opportunity to promote tribute funds or in memory giving directly through your charity shops as well. So the final one is dedication pages, and Catherine's already touched on these and how they can help you through stewardship, but they can also provide a really great way for you to promote your tribute funds as well. Now, RSPB have a memorial wall as part of their in memory offering, and it's really designed for those that might not be ready to create a tribute or don't want to, or it offers them a chance to leave a dedication. So it's a really straightforward ask. Leave the name of the person, add a message, and then have the option to upload a photo. RSPB also link to their tribute funds on the top of their page. So that's a way to encourage more tribute pages to be created. And Mental Health Foundation, they previously relied on organic donations, but that slowly increased. So they now have the option to develop this, and they wanted to increase their in-memory audience. Now, they did this through a dedication page. It was a memorial wall for Mental Health Awareness Week. They had paid digital ads, so they did invest in it prior to the week, and that resulted in 1,250 dedications in 2 weeks, and it gave them nearly 800 email opt-ins. So they used dedication pages as a way to get more in-memory supporters on board, through which they could then promote their tribute fund offering. So that's all our top tips for this morning.